Why is Suko so big in the movie Godzilla x Kong? I mean, he's way bigger than Kong in Skull Island. Well, today we finally get an answer to that long question, and let's go.
Godzilla Kong, the new
We got Goji Center explaining it. You guys know, as soon as Goji Center starts explaining it, we know everything.
These weren't just any simians, these were Hollow Earth great apes. And because they resided in this environment and not on Skull Island, we are now dealing with different rule sets regarding the growth of these monsters.
Wait, so, bro, monkey is a monkey, bro. Come on, let's be honest, they're all the same thing. They all look alike, too.
Is smaller in stature than
Yo! Nah, Suko is humongous, and he looks like a child too.
This may sound a little bizarre. How is an infant taller in stature than a teenager? Well, in this episode, we will discuss exactly why Suko managed to grow taller than Kong when he was a teenager, and go as far as explaining how Kong managed to grow taller than most of the great apes in Hollow Earth.
Nah, Kong, bro, the way he was standing up, he was flexing his muscles. He's like, yeah. Hey, hit that subscribe button.
Kong's growth rate explained. Okay, to begin explaining this weird phenomenon, we must first match up who we are talking about. Suko in Godzilla Kong the New Empire.
Yo, who do you think is gonna win, Suko or Kong in Skull Island? I think Kong in Skull Island will kill Suko.
Shorter than the Statue of Liberty. Very, very tall nonetheless. Pay attention to how this one has infant proportions. What is this? Infants are often characterized as having an enlarged head, large eyeballs, and a small body in comparison to its skull. This is what makes a baby look like a baby.
Hey, bro.
As your body grows to adolescence, your skull tends to grow at a slower rate than the rest of your body. This is why adults, in most cases, have a smaller head in comparison to their bodies, giving them the said adult body proportions that make them look like full-grown individuals. Suko, as you can see, can be categorized as an infant due to these characteristics. Now comes the adolescent Kong from 1973.
Yo, bro, he's so small.
You'll immediately know.
No, but he's so, oh my, bro, yo, I'm not gonna lie, that looks very ugly,
Kong,
bro.
however, only measures 104 feet in height here, a whole 45 feet shorter than this infant.
No, but I think even though Kong is smaller, he'll absolutely destroy Suko.
How is this even possible? Well, the answer lies in where these two grew up. Suko here grew up in a place known as Hollow Earth. Down in the bowels of the planet lies an incomprehensibly vast environment with resources to adequately sustain large life forms. Kong, on the other hand, grew up in Skull Island, an isolated island somewhere in the Pacific that is
Yo, Skull Island is like GTA 5 lobby, bro. You gotta be crazy to survive in that island.
Found in Hollow Earth. Here's one of the reasons why Suko was already taller than Kong, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more reasoning behind this. Enjoying this episode? Here's a quick reminder to subscribe and to also click the link below to check out our official Goji Center merch,
Goji Center promoting his merch,
showcasing great apes that lived here on Skull Island. You'll note that these apes don't really measure up to the size of adult Kong, who measures 337 feet in height.
Yo, those Skull Island ones are tiny.
A little less than 2/3 of Kong's adult form. But why? Let us explain. Here on Skull Island, growth rates are different from that of Hollow Earth apes due to environmental and biological constraints. Hollow Earth is practically infinitely more vast than this island, limiting the growth cap of these creatures. Additionally, these great apes seem to have suffered from a phenomenon known as indeterminate growth, meaning that factors such as space, food quality, resources, and most importantly stress were a major reason why these guys never reached the height of the larger Hollow Earth apes, being capped in height at around 200 feet or so. Stress was likely the larger factor here. It is a well-known fact that these apes shared this island with the skull crawlers. Vicious, relentless predators that, when not sleeping, were always hunting.
Man, these guys, bro. I'm glad Kong killed them because I personally do not like guys, man.
Large numbers. This was perhaps the biggest stressor that limited the growth of these apes. Eventually, this conflict was rendered down to a last stand where many apes, including Kong's parents, were killed. The finishing blow inflicted by Ramarak, the assassin that killed Kong.
Wait, did Ramarak kill his parents and then came back and fought him? I had no idea, bro. But I'm glad Kong killed him. Oh, man, Kong, I'm sorry, bro. No, look at him. He's shouting like...
infant ape on an island full of predators with absolutely no one to take care of you. If anything, the stress would have only been higher for infant Kong than the stress inflicted on a whole group of apes with each other to rely on under the threat of skull crawlers. Further evidence of this increased stress on Kong, consider that apes, including us humans, usually surpass half of the height of the parents by adolescence in most cases. This Kong in 1973 only gets past this threshold by a bare minimum. Something is a little bit off here. Kong between infancy and adolescence has grown less than he should. Why? Stress. Ramarak was still around, and the presence of this one plus the remaining predators would have made Kong go through the said indeterminate growth.
I feel bad for Kong. He grew up literally fighting for his life. He grew up in Fortnite Battleground, bro. This guy was fighting 1v20 all his life, and he won. I gotta put some respect on Kong.
It was after he managed to kill Ramarak that he finally was able to unlock full growth potential. Not only did he kill the most dangerous predators around, but he now had a whole ecosystem all to himself, establishing himself as the apex predator on the island.
He was like, yeah bro, I'm the king now. Who's gonna challenge me?
This is why it was mentioned in GVK that he grew very fast in very little time, more than 233 feet in only 51 years. But this did not just stop here. Ironically, Kong ended up growing taller than many of the great apes in Hollow Earth thanks to having the island all to himself. Let's go back to Suko. Hollow Earth apes would be around the same size as a full-grown Kong, meaning that proportionally speaking, their infants would by default be around this height, which so happens to be around the size of teenager Kong, whose parents suffered through some sort of dwarfism due to ecological circumstances discussed already. This is why infant Kong was so small also, because his parents were small compared to Hollow Earth apes.
Man, Kong's parents were tiny.
Newborn infant. We'd like to think that Suko was the equivalent of an 8 to 11-year-old. Not quite the adolescent, but also not a newborn infant.
Look at Suko trying to touch Kong. He's like, come here.
Remember the abuse inflicted on him by the Skar King, and one able to fight back if attacked. An adolescent Suko would then adopt the characteristics of a sub-adult great ape. A lengthened body, limbs, and smaller head compared to his body. Similar to his parents, whoever they were, but most likely Skar King himself being the father.
Bro, Skar King is Suko's dad. That is crazy, bro. I actually really like this man. Look, he has like a bunch of children around there.
A few female apes began to shelter their offspring from the Skar King. What color were they? Brownish red, identical to
Suko has a bunch of brothers and sisters.
Question. If Skar King actually was the one who fathered Suko, how tall could this guy actually
Bro, this guy can be like 400 meters. I think he can be the tallest.
Well, given that all things in the Monsterverse could literally be a dumb writer's pen stroke away from becoming reality, we can't predict whether or not Suko will be taller or not. However, based on the parents of Suko alone, we can predict that he might be a little taller than or around the same size as Skar King, who was at around 318 feet in height.
He's bigger than Kong, right?
Skar King belonged to a species of great ape that was more lanky and agile instead of muscular like his adoptive father Kong. Suko's mother was probably one that resembled Kong a little more, with characteristics similar to a larger gray or brown gorilla. So, based on his parents alone,
so Kong he will have the speed of Skar King, but the strength of Kong. Okay, I might have to kill Suko. Yo guys, I'm joking.
Properly by a father figure, Suko might end up larger and more powerful than we think.
Yo, Godzilla, I think, somebody call Godzilla, tell him, Suko's a threat.
Subscribe to not miss our episode.
Man, Goji Center telling us everything we need to know. But anyways, I guess we got our answer why Suko is so big. But anyways, that's gonna be the end of this video. I hope you guys like it. Peace.